कॉलेज में जब सबको हीरो माना जाता था, हमारे आज के मेहमान के पास कुछ अलग ही कहानी थी। उन्हें कॉलेज में जीरो माना जाता था, लेकिन उन्होंने आगे बढ़कर अपनी ही नई कहानी लिख डाली। उन्होंने रिवोल्यूशनरी कॉन्सेप्ट को अपनाया और भारत की कोवर्किंग इंडस्ट्री को बदल कर रख दिया। आज मैं उन्हीं के कोवर्किंग स्पेस में खड़ा हूँ, जो बेंगलोर या कर्नाटका का ही नहीं बल्कि पूरे भारत का सबसे बड़ा कोवर्किंग स्पेस है, बीहाइव। बीहाइव के जरिए उन्होंने एक ऐसा एम्पावरिंग इकोसिस्टम बनाया जो नए स्टार्टअप और एंटरप्रेन्योर को बेस्ट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड सपोर्ट प्रोवाइड करता है टू अनलॉक देयर फुल पोटेंशियल। पर उनकी एंटरप्रेन्योर जर्नी सिर्फ बीहाइव से सीमित नहीं, वो एक एंटरप्रेन्योर ही नहीं बल्कि सीरियल एंटरप्रेन्योर है, जिन्होंने हमेशा अपनी एक नई पहचान बनाई। आइए बात करते हैं मिस्टर शेष राव पापलिकर से, उनकी इंस्पायरिंग लाइफ जर्नी, मोटिवेशन और अबाउट एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप। लेट्स टॉक। Welcome, sir. How are you, sir?
Thanks. Great introduction.
So thanks very much for the mail because you own the most of the property. If we talk about Saragpur Satwa and flat for a system, but you are into commercial space and you have a huge property. Everybody will look up to you. अच्छा इनका इतना बड़ा property है, करोड़ों का property ये रखते हैं. So sir, I want to understand one thing from your mindset, like how you come to this idea first. कि मेरे को इस स्पेस में जाना है, कॉमर्शियल स्पेस में।
I mean, yeah, thanks a lot, first of all, for getting me to the conversation with you, Abhishek, and I think we'll kind of try to discuss, a few things from my journey.
Right.
And I'm really glad that, given that you are having your office in Bhive, you are familiar with us to an extent, so you can ask more genuine questions in that sense,
right?
Because you are living the Bhive life. I think ultimately, when I started, ultimate goal was always to have people like you who are really having great time here, right? That was always the larger purpose. So the story, how it started, it has a various elements of chance also involved in, especially the fact that what I started. I think one thing I was more certain is I will become an entrepreneur. And I think I can tell many things, in terms of, I think there is a backstories and inspiration. I think many things that have happened from childhood have ultimately led to this. I think one of the things I would say is, while doing engineering, I think I became more certain that I want to be an entrepreneur. Eventually, at certain time, Narayan Murthy was an inspiration, but eventually Dhirubhai Ambani became the biggest inspiration in my 8th semester. In fact, I think
this is your intro part. Now I think अपन को थोड़ा बीच में घुसते हैं. It's snaggle लेता क्योंकि इतना high conversation हो जाएगा कि
definitely
I will cry.
ठीक है, आप मतलब ये दे रहे हो, येलो दे रहे हो, क्या दे रहे हो?
मैं आप कौन सी लेने क्या बताओ?
Let's take green.
Green it's yours. अच्छा ग्रीन सिग्नल लोगे आप. चलो कोई बात नहीं. क्योंकि आपकी लाइफ में ग्रीन सिग्नल ही लाया. मैं कुछ टाइम तक तो ऐसा था कि जब हम ट्रैफिक सिग्नल में हम जाते हैं तो हमेशा ग्रीन लाइट ही मिलती है हमको, बस खट हम डेस्टिनेशन पे पहुंच जाते हैं।
या
तो एक टाइम मेरे को लगता है आपके साथ भी ऐसा हुआ होगा। You start the first gate.
So nice, very interesting pink color dice. 6 में हो गया, 5 में at least.
तो 5 आप चलाओगे क्या? अपन खेल सकते हैं।
ठीक है,
मुझे ऐसा लगता है पहले मैं चलाता हूँ, मेरे बाबू बताता हूँ। Oh, I got 6. Nice. Again I will.
Life started well for you.
मेरे लिए तो बहुत हार्ड लाइफ रहा है। मैंने भी एकदम से स्टार्टअप किया एंड देन आई केम हियर नाउ।
Yes.
मेरे को लगता है कि ना आपके साथ ऐसा क्यों हुआ? Because of I think you read about so many times of Dhirubhai Ambani, how he started. I think मतलब आपके सबकॉन्शियस माइंड में मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि वो चीज़ें क्लिक करी होगी कि यार ही इज़ डूइंग समथिंग एंड इसने इतना बड़ा काम किया है। एंड बिकॉज आपके सबकॉन्शियस माइंड में जब आपकी चीज़ होती है तो लाइफ पुश टू अचीव दैट. Let's go to childhood. Like when you are just passing 10th or 12th, what was your mindset? What you were thinking about your life that time? Is it in your family? Is there any businessman? Any entrepreneurship was there? What you were thinking when you were just entering into the engineering college?
Yeah, see, I think those were different times and different place. If you really talk about my high school, that would have happened like in mid-90s. And I grew up in Mysore, a smaller town. And also, nobody in my family was into entrepreneurship as such. Mostly the family comes from A lot of doctors are there and people in education. Both my parents were more into education. My father was in Mysore University. My mom used to be a teacher and then she became a lecturer. So entrepreneurship was really the last thing they would have kind of really thought of.
What is my objective to start this podcast series? To understand the entrepreneur mindset, how actually it is coming from, why it is coming from. Have you seen anything before? Somebody is doing something, you want to really make money, you don't want to do a job or something like that. Why it is came to your mind at that time? That is the main question.
Yes, I think
expect from you.
Yes, I think that's a very interesting question. Nobody has asked me that question, trust me, till now. So I love to think and give you the answer. Now, one of the things is I was always fond of adventure. From my childhood, I always knew, I'll be on to I always wanted to be on some kind of an adventure. So I used to read a lot of comics that are around adventure. My favorite movies used to be of adventure. I used to, for example, read this comic book called Tintin. It was Adventures of Tintin.
Okay, great.
So I used to always be like, wow, this is amazing. I want to be a sailor. I want to go somewhere, see the world, going around the world, doing things. Adventure also means you deal with uncertainties and possibilities.
Absolutely.
I think that was always there. But, of course, I think this is a different world. I think if I was born 200 years back, maybe I would have wanted to be an explorer.
Right.
Then I realized, what's up, sab kar liya logon ne. Maybe the explorer nahi ban sakta hai. In fact, in 8th semester, when I did entrepreneurship, I jumped onto entrepreneurship. Today, I come from a batch that has produced great entrepreneurs today. Like Taxi for Sure founders, Zolvo, Cool. They were actually my classmates. So a lot of such great companies have come out.
Same class?
Same class. And they were not entrepreneurs then, by the way. So what happened, they were all, I think those were a batch where everybody was supposed to study, do an MBA, join job. I was one of the very few, I was the only one who was like, hey, main entrepreneurship karunga. So I was looking like today when I go to my college, everybody's into entrepreneurship. Being an entrepreneur is kind of a sexy thing today.
Right.
That day it was not, even in my engineering college. But I think I was little crazy in that sense. On the crazier side, I would believe in things and want to do. So I know when the Reliance came up and said, okay, we are going to create entrepreneurs. That's the way they used to talk, right? We'll train entrepreneurs, we'll create entrepreneurs. India will have a lot of entrepreneurs. I was like, wow, look at what these guys are saying. So I think they definitely inspired. Well, even though it didn't succeed, I felt these guys are giving me an opportunity right now. I'll go and take up a dealership. I found out what to do. I went and borrowed money from uncle and aunt and I took up a dealership. I went to Mysore, opened a store, hired people, did things. They created logo. I did a lot of things. What happened is, I did a lot of things. Somewhere there were a lot of learnings. It didn't take off at that point in time because there were a lot of regulatory issues. So these are not things I understood. But at a dealership level, you don't know the regulatory issues, kya hai, and Reliance is facing issues. So it ultimately failed because the Reliance was not taking off at that point in time. 2003 ka baat karo. That is when they launched it.
8th semester mein.
Main 8th semester mein tha. Then, so I think that was my first stage to entrepreneurship, and then the failure somewhere made me realize one day I have to get back to entrepreneurship and make it bigger. Because when I did not succeed, or when I took up entrepreneurship, see, like somebody like my mom and everybody was said, you are bound to fail. We are not entrepreneurs. We have to take up jobs. Why would you take up entrepreneurship? It's so much of stress, so much of loan. Because that is what they had seen, right? Back in the days when they were young, they had seen entrepreneurs suffer, taking loans. Interest used to be very high. They are like, this is not for us.
Right.
You study well, you take up a job. And when it failed, everybody was like, मैंने पहले ही बोला था, हमें पहले ही पता था.
Absolutely. पूरे इंडिया में 99% मम्मी पापा ऐसे हैं, अगर उनको जाके बोल दो कि मेरे को ये करना है, तो क्योंकि उन्होंने वो चीज़ कभी देखी ही नहीं, तो वो मना ही करेंगे. भाई क्या कर रहा है तू यार, ये क्यों कर रहा है, छोड़ दे इसको, मत कर इसको. तो सब लोग मना करेंगे. आपकी ज़िंदगी में कोई ऐसा आदमी रहा क्या जो आपको समझता हो उस टाइम पे, जब आप 8th सेमेस्टर में थे, क्या आपकी गर्लफ्रेंड या फिर आपका कोई ऐसा फ्रेंड जिसने आपको समझाओ, नहीं यार, शेष विल डू दिस यार, आई विल सपोर्ट यू, यू जस्ट डू इट. कोई ऐसा पीछे से सपोर्ट आपका रहा?
See, definitely. I mean, I didn't have a girlfriend, so there's that angle wouldn't come. But I definitely had friends. See, one of the qualities I have, which I think learned back in the days, is that a lot of my friends used to get inspired by me. I think that's a quality I understood when I did this. Ki there are a lot of people who can join my dream as if it is theirs. So there were so many of my friends. मेरा रिलायंस वाला स्टोर था, मैसूर में लोगो था, बहुत पब्लिसिटी कर रहा था. My friends, lot of my friends used to just come and like without asking for money or whatever, they used to for free work with me.
तो आपको ऐसा बोलते हो यार हमको भी फाउंडर बना ले, हम भी बनना चाहते हैं.
I think उतना thought process नहीं था 2003 में लोगों का.
Okay.
They would think like this is my business. शेष का business है तो हमारा business है. तो they used to give anything, furniture shortage, अपने घर से furniture दे देते हैं, video camera नहीं था कोई friend दे देता था. And they used to, like, if I'm busy, they're like, I'll sit and look into it. Lot of times, right thing at a right place, things to happen, right? A matter of chance is very important. And the fact that people supported various things that happened in my life. Eventually, it was a destiny that to get here. But, because, see, life is ultimately a combination of choices that we make.
Right.
So, various times, various choices, there were a lot of tough choices. There were different choices that make us. And, and eventually, I guess, the fact that I was reading, those comics when I was that young is also a chance, because my cousins were big into it. Because of that I read, because of that adventure became something big for me. I think various aspects, there's a character and you're put in a certain environment and we become very different because of it, right? So it's such a very comfortable place where everything is there, right? Mysore is one of the best cities to live, which is not always the best thing to happen. Because if you are in a very comfortable place, you don't want to change. But I think I always knew कि Mysore is not my destiny. मतलब मैं तो बहुत बड़ा चीजें कर रहा हूँ.
नहीं भाई, तो मतलब पेरेंट्स ने कहीं ना कहीं पहले सेट कर देते हैं कि फॉरेन जाना है. तब जब आप इंजीनियरिंग के बाद आई थिंक आप न्यूयॉर्क गए, राइट? आई गेस सो.
So like I said, I think it was a combination of things. If I had really succeed entrepreneurship, let's say पूरा ऐसा ही success आ गया होता, would I have gone abroad? I don't know. It was maybe a destiny कि it didn't work.
Right.
And I now thank God that at that point in time, seeing failure was useful, because it it makes us brings humility and brings us to the ground. Whatever we imagine is not going to always work.
Right.
So always, well, when we are very young, I think we believe everything. We believe too much in everything, right? We will think everything will just work. Mathematics लगा दिया, अरे phone ले लिया, sale कर दिया, ऐसा हो गया, ऐसा हो गया, ऐसा हो गया, इतना बड़ा बन जाएगा. But we don't really realize कि there will something called cash flow. कभी you may run out of money. It is never like one straight line, right? So I think it was good that I learned that early on, because that kind of pushed me back to think, hey, how do I recover from here? Right? How do I really collect the pieces and get back to my mode, and how do I eventually become an entrepreneur? I think around those times, in fact, I ended up in a lot of debt. I had to pay my uncle and aunt a good sum of money for those days, because of which I took a call, and that were various reasons I kind of took a call कि मुझे ना abroad जाना है अभी, because I was working in India for one of the famous IT companies, but whatever salaries I could draw in back in those days when I was like 21-year-old, etc., would have taken a long time for me to pay the debt. I'm like, पहले ना debt pay करना है, दूसरी बात है savings करना है. Then I said कि ठीक है, let me see the world.
यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन है कि आपने जब you have some good business and आपके friends भी आपका साथ दे रहे थे, तो anything happened that time that business has been fully crashed?
I ran out of money.
Full money.
See, because what happened is I had made a business plan. ठीक है, अंकल से borrow करूँगा, aunt से borrow करूँगा, dealership लूँगा, rent पे करूँगा, ये करूँगा, next month से sales शुरू हो जाएगा, every month इतना बनाऊँगा. Sales शुरू ही नहीं हुआ, 6 महीने तक sales शुरू नहीं हुआ. They got into legal, like Reliance had a regulatory problem. Now the problem is, if you are a dealer, I don't have the runway. Now if Reliance phone doesn't sell, how will I sell? What will I sell? There's nothing for me to sell. Then I didn't understand. I didn't know the concept of runway and you sustain for 1 year. All that मैं सोचा भी नहीं था. मैंने सोचा थी 2 महीने में सेल शुरू होने.
मतलब बात करी जाती है कॉमन प्रॉब्लम है सबके लिए, जिसने भी बिजनेस स्टार्ट किया आज तक, मतलब सब बस उससे ओवरकम करना. इट्स ए वेरी चैलेंजिंग टास्क कि उससे ओवरकम करके नाउ व्हाट नेक्स्ट लुक फॉरवर्ड इज द की टू सक्सेस, इफ आई से, राइट? एब्सोल्युटली. तो अब आपने यहाँ पे बिजनेस का आपका डेट आ गया, देन व्हाट यू प्लान फॉर दैट? क्या कैसे करते?
So somewhere I had to take a call कि boss, it's high time. There was no way I would have run it. I didn't have money to pay rent. I ran out of everything. Rent, salary, there's nothing out there. There's nothing. So I kind of had to take a call and it was only my uncle and aunt would have given some money. I kind of said I can't again go back and tell them give me even more money. Because I felt I realized कि अब जो math ऐसे ही calculate करते हो, लाइफ डजंट हैपन लाइक दैट. बिजनेस आप कैलकुलेट करते हो, नेक्स्ट मंथ लॉन्च होगा, इतना सेल्स हो जाएगा, मेरा भी इतना बन जाएगा. नाउ हू नोज व्हेन इट विल लॉन्च. नाउ आई रियलाइज कि आई एम नॉट प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर अनसर्टनिटीज, राइट? एंड आई रियलाइज कि आई शुड बिकम अ पर्सन हु इज प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर अनसर्टनिटी. आई शुड हैव माई ओन सेविंग्स, आई शुड हैव मच मोर एक्सपीरियंस, आई शुड नो whom to go to, I should have mentors, I should have things. I kind of took a step back and said I'm not ready. I realized I'm not ready. I think it was a hard call I had to make. कि I'm not ready and let me make myself ready.
ये अगर चीज़ किसी ने सीख लिया ना, तो आई थिंक एंटरप्रेन्योर जर्नी में ऑलरेडी वो इन है. इफ ही कांट लर्न दिस, क्या नहीं, आई एम नॉट रेडी फॉर दिस राइट नाउ, then again we'll come back. So I think this is the key to success. Again, the same thing.
I think that self-awareness is something very important. We need to know when to say कि ठीक है चल नहीं रहा है. Maybe I'm not ready, right? What did I not do very well, and how can I kind of fix this? I kind of really noted down a lot of these things. Instead of blaming myself, one can always keep blaming oneself and go to depression, let's say, right? In fact, I was really facing depression because it was suddenly like unexpected कि इतना बड़ा failure मैंने ज़िंदगी में, मतलब at that point in time I never faced, right? I'm just starting, कि suddenly ऐसा लगा कि life ही बंद हो गया.
It's like a snack and again you came here.
यहाँ तक सीधा निकल के नीचे आ गया.
Then you went to New York again.
Yes, I went to US. We were in New York. I kind of spent time in different places there. New York was the highest amount of time. 8 years I was there.
So you have done job there.
Ultimately, 3 साल इधर काम किया मैंने 2003 to 6 because there was a bit of an effort to go to US. ऐसा नहीं कि suddenly आके US जा सकता था. In 2005, I was just I just crossed my 24 years birthday. I made a major real estate investment through like a lot of loans. And, I bought a property for 26 lakhs when I was 24 years old. At that time, 26 lakhs. In fact, I still remember the bank that I took loan from in Mysore because the property was in Mysore. They told me, State Bank of Mysore, that specific brand, they said, this is the highest loan we have ever disbursed. And a 24-year-old person is taking. For a Mysore standards, that was a big loan. For them, like a 24-year-old ka banda le raha hai, the highest loan they had ever disbursed.
24 में तो engineering complete करते हैं, फिर सोचते हैं वो करना क्या है. That time you are doing something.
So I had a clear plan. मैं ना loan लूँगा, बड़ा property में invest करूँगा, price ज़्यादा होगा. Not to pay EMI, I'm not going to sit in India and pay all my salary to EMI. मैं तो अभी abroad जाऊँगा. I learned so much कि ये EMI was not work, will not be a burden, I'll pay off. मतलब ऐसा कुछ plan बनाया, somehow it worked out like that.
Okay.
And I went there and also prices went up. I almost sold it for, 4 times the price in 2012, when I was just like, about 31 years, right? So I did see a significant success in a good real estate investment. Right. Then I was able to go abroad, earn money, experience life, see different types of American companies because I really admire the way Americans have built a lot of great companies. Right? I think while there are companies like Reliance, Tata's in India, there are seemingly more examples in US. There are 10x more examples of big companies in US, the university culture. There are so many things. I think that gave me an exposure to learn things, and also the fact that you're living in an advanced country. It's almost like I can see where India will be 20 years down the line. So you can see it stretches the mind of an entrepreneur. अरे यार ये इंडिया में होने वाला है. अभी जो मैं एक्सपीरियंस कर इतना बड़ा स्टोर से इधर इंडिया में भी होने वाला है. Right. I think वो कार रेंटल ऐसे चल रहा है इंडिया में भी चलेगा. इतने सारे होटल से इधर मैं फ्लोरिडा जाता हूँ, इंडिया में भी कभी ना गोवा में इतने ही होटल्स होंगे. बट सडनली आई लॉस्ट मोटिवेशन एवरीथिंग. मुझे लगा ना अरे यार लैपटॉप भी खरीद लिया, ये भी खरीद लिया, ट्रैवल भी कर लिया, क्या करना है, ड्राइव किया, US नॉर्थ से साउथ ड्राइव किया, रेंट किया, बेस्ट व्हीकल्स एवरीथिंग. Somewhere I felt I don't know, it was very weird, I think doing everything and suddenly losing motivation in life. And job also, I took the best job, I was like, okay, I'm not happy here, I'll join Bloomberg, I'll go to Wall Street, I'll work in New York. Somewhere I felt all of it was never meant to be. Somewhere I felt like, then I started feeling, just think about it. A kid in a Mysore would have give up anything to ultimately end up in their life to be here. Right. Working in New York, you've done everything. I was really trying to justify to myself that I shouldn't be unhappy. I was trying to counter my own head. I have everything. Why should I be unhappy? I just remember where I was, where I've come. I just did everything and my mind was just not getting out of it. My mind had lost motivation to work, to do things. मुझे अभी लगा कुछ आश्रम में जाके मतलब कुछ करना पड़ेगा. I kind of felt almost like what happened to like Gautama Buddha, right? He gave up everything because he had everything, right? It is not same as a poor person giving up. He had everything in life. I think if you have everything that you wanted, sometimes it will feel like now, what, you just get over it, right? I think I hit that point for sure. I'm not able to wake up and be happy, and literally I was getting severely depressed. Okay. So I think I took help of people. I started talking and I met somebody really smart who told me to start introspecting what you want in life. So I started writing down And I think that's what somewhere made me realize I was chasing money, but money was not the most important thing. Right? For somebody whom money is the most important thing, they would have been happy.
Yeah.
So one has to know. See, if money is the most important thing for you, yes, that's fine. You should just know it and do it.
Right.
I think he kind of made me realize, for me, money was actually not number one. While he said money is one of the top 3 things you want, he kind of figured that. So that means that I'll not be doing an NGO also. I need money. But it's tricky. It's not the number one thing. Priority mein hai wo, but number one hai. Number one is, on a day-to-day basis, I need to be doing things which I feel is making an impact for people around me, society or anything. And I was stuck in a corporate job which had a very limited possibility of impact, because of which it was affecting my self-worth. I felt कि whatever I doing as a software engineer करके आ सकता हूँ, उससे कुछ ज़्यादा मतलब नहीं बन रहा था. I couldn't see the impact. कौन use कर रहा है ये product, कौन क्या हो रहा है. But you're in a huge company, right? मुझे लगा कि I think I was not suited for that. I think somewhere I took a call कि ये नहीं चलेगा. And I think I came back to what I was doing in 2003. After a lot of conversation, I realized, boss, I think I need to be an entrepreneur again, so that I need to get back to my adventure.
That is called self-awareness. जिस सेल्फ अवेयर होना बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है सबको, कि मैं लाइफ में क्या करना चाहता हूँ, मुझे क्या प्रायोरिटी डिसाइड करनी है, मेरे लिए ये प्रायोरिटी है, तो ऑटोमेटिकली हो जाएगा. दैट इज़ कॉल्ड ट्रू एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप.
If you are waking up every day and not enjoying the day, and if it keeps happening continuously day after day, you need to think about what you're doing. I think that's more important than money. There are things, if there is something I don't enjoy, no matter how much money somebody gives, it doesn't make sense to be doing it.
Absolutely.
Because, unless money was the most important thing, right? Then, you're enjoying because you're counting money at the end of the day, right? Oh, kya farak padta hai, kya itna paisa bana, right? If that is the mindset, you would enjoy, right? If that is not the mindset, you wouldn't. And it's important to be happy than rich in that sense, right? I mean, I think that is when I kind of took a call कि entrepreneur बनना है.
Right.
But US में entrepreneur बनने के लिए you have to continue to wait for green card.
Right.
And I said कि अगर बनना है तो अभी बनना है. I'm not going to wait.
Right.
That means I'm going to go back to India. I think that was one of the factors. दूसरी बात है कि I kind of took a call कि, see, at the end of the day, having grown up in India, I understand India very well. Indians very well.
Right.
तो मुझे ना इंडिया में जो इम्पैक्ट कर सकता हूँ ना, उसका मतलब ज़्यादा है.
Right.
And I understand also. And also, I think the other factor I was saying is, having lived in US, it was almost like having seen India, how India will be 20 years down the line.
Absolutely.
If that knowledge I have to apply, I have to go back to India.
Right.
क्योंकि मैं almost like future देख के आया हूँ मैं.
सही बात. तो Bhive को वहीं से आपने सोच के लेके आए थे कि यहाँ इंडिया में आपको मिला?
Bhive was not at all on the cards as such, and I never thought कि real estate में ऐसा कुछ करूँगा. I was thinking कि ठीक है, मतलब because I have a technology background, and I thought कि मैं technology में कुछ करूँगा. And I had always read about tech startups etc. तो हमेशा सोचा technology में कुछ चलेगा. एंड ब्लूमबर्ग वगैरह में डेटा एनालिटिक्स, डेटा साइंस, आजकल जो बहुत बड़े हो चुके हैं ना, AI, चैट GPT, all these things I was working back in 2011-12 also.
Right.
On SVM, a lot of these models, machine learning वगैरह, I knew it's going to become very big. मैंने सोचा उस फील्ड में कुछ काम करते हैं अभी. So I was trying to, in fact, I registered a company also called Tusker Technologies.
Okay.
I was trying to do that. So very interestingly, I was trying to do a technology company.
Okay.
And it's a coincidence कि क्या हुआ कि for some reason it had not really taken off. मतलब वो slowly चल रहा था. Meanwhile मुझे लगा कि it was, I somehow felt कि again I was not happy in India. कि मैं वापस आया तो मुझे लगा कि अरे somehow something is not right. I was not enjoying India.
This is the third time.
मतलब मैं US में ऐसा हो रहा था कि मुझे entrepreneurship करना है. अभी entrepreneurship करने के लिए इंडिया आ गया. But something was wrong. I somehow felt कि after living in US, मुझे ना बैंगलोर में रोड क्रॉस करने में ही डर लग रहा था कि सब जगह से लोग आ रहे हैं, बाइक इधर से उधर है, फुटपाथ पे जाते हो, फुटपाथ पे भी बाइक चढ़ जाता है. I suddenly started feeling, मतलब सच्ची में ऐसा हो रहा था. It was not about really complaining, but genuinely मुझे ऐसा लग रहा था कि थोड़ा out of place लग रहा है कि because you're used to so many years you lived in a New York kind of place where everything is neat and organized and सब आप बाइक लेके जा रहे हो तो कोई मतलब सब लोग बाइक के लिए स्टॉप करते हैं ना, कार वार. एक ऐसा it was not a conscious choice. I started realizing कि my quality of life has suddenly decreased. You lived in a 5-star kind of an experience for a while. Suddenly आप आ जाते हो ना. हाँ, तो I think ऐसा हो जाता है, right? I think then I was determined कि मतलब I'm not going to go back. ऐसा कभी लगा कि did I make a mistake? Then I said कि ठीक है यार, मतलब I'm not going to do that. You know, I'm determined. I'll fight it hard. I'll stay here. I'll figure out what is wrong. I'll try to fix it, you know, for myself. Then I started analyzing. One of the interesting, that is where the BI thing comes. You know, I was very sure कि it can be fixed. If something is wrong, I need to understand. I need to have a self-awareness कि क्या अच्छा नहीं चल रहा मेरे life में.
Right.
I somehow felt कि US में, very interestingly, in the last part of my US life, I was actually a customer of wework.
wework, हाँ मैंने बोला कहीं तो
And wework very coincidentally is a New York City based company. And you know what the coincidence is? wework headquarters was next building to where I used to live.
Right.
So there were a lot of coincidences of that eventually played. And I was a very big fan of wework as an end customer. Yeah, understood. And it was not just about wework. Co-working space had become a big thing in US back in 2013 itself. So I'd experienced the co-working space and the fact that, hey, you know, you can go to work in a co-working space. Everything will be working. You will have friends who are from some other company. You can talk to them. There is a social life it gives. I realized, you know what, last part of my life, I had left Bloomberg and I was in a startup as a CTO. I still had a great time. I used to meet people by chance. अब coffee पे कोई entrepreneur मिल गया है, कोई event चल रहा है तो कोई बुला लिया, तो आप generally evening एक event attend करके बाद में घर जा रहे हो. Toilets are clean, everything is well maintained. I realized that was making a big difference to my life. Like what you're seeing today was what I realized कि this is what is required.
in your mind, actually you realize in the mind now it's true.
हाँ, तो मुझे लगा कि, you know, if I can create, and then I realized it has to be at a price point that works. It is affordable to the more common guy, like an entrepreneur who's starting out, उसके लिए it has to work out. So good coffee should be there, good tea should be there, good toilet should be there. See, even a lot of these little elements, right? I was in a small place where there was a room and there was a common toilet, etc. वो कभी toilet roll नहीं रखता. I was getting very frustrated. हर बार जाके वो बुलाना पड़ता, भाई यार रोल रखा होगा कहीं दे क्या हो मुझे. Then coffee नहीं मिलता था, तो coffee, there was no unlimited coffee tea like this. So every time I had to go somewhere to find coffee. I felt कि I was getting disrupted from focusing on doing a great job because there are certain standards that was expected by me. Then I said कि ठीक है यार एक काम करते हैं. I will create a co-working space for myself. मतलब in the sense, it was not meant to be a business. I said कि मेरा tech company ना मेरे खुद का co-working space में बैठेगा, because I couldn't have afforded to do a large office just for some 5-6 people.
Right.
And how do I build a community? मैंने कहा मैं सबको open करूँगा. So I was kind of doing it like a hobby. मैं खुद का एक co-working space खोलूँगा, events रखूँगा, मेरा खुद का office भी रहेगा, मैं friends बनाऊँगा. I was trying to solve the problem for myself. This was about staying back in India. So I said कि मैं खुद का एक अच्छा करूँगा. So I went all out. मैंने इतना पैसा वैसा खर्च किया, create किया. So थोड़ा, you know, ऐसा था कि I want to give it a full attempt to stay back and somehow want to make myself happy in that sense, right? And then focus on work. So that is how Bhive started. I started this company called Bhive. Then registered it. एक विला लिया कोरमंगला में, ढूंढा, interiors किया, events करा शुरू किया. I think I was so passionate to make it nice. Even though it was not meant to be a big business, it became like a super big hit. Everybody in Bangalore is like, have you been to Bhive? There's something called Bhive. There's a co-working space. लोग मिल सकते हैं, startup से, अच्छा pricing है, 24/7 चलता है. None of these people had heard. Now imagine, it's like I'm coming from the future. I've lived in New York,
Right.
where there's already a reality. I've seen it. I Indianized it, priced it, and made it work. For the people here, it was like out of the world. It became so famous कि मैंने कहा कि, you know, I started November 1st, I remember, October 2014, कोरमंगला में शुरू हुआ, दिसंबर में इंदिरा नगर शुरू हो गया, बाद में HSR में शुरू हो गया. Then you know what, it was just a momentum. Then, you know, people were like, शेष मुझे इन्वेस्ट करना है. well, ठीक है, मुझे कुछ नया खोलना है, तुम पैसा डालो, सब पैसा डालो, ये डालो, मोमेंटम में बिल्ड करते 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 just like
Absolutely. I think the next move,
राइट हैंड्स करके आगे करता. अरे यार,
so let me take the next move. I think I need one. खेल मतलब लाइफ का एक गेम. इट्स अ लाइफ गेम. इट्स मैटर ऑफ लक. It's matter of understanding. It's matter of the universe, what conspired, like you want to win the game or not. So I used to play this game at home. बचपन में बहुत खेला था. Right now I used to play a lot. This game have so many learnings every day. राइट, लाइफ में आप फेल हुए हो एकदम खतरनाक तरीके से फेल. जब आपने बोला था वो पैसा वाली बात थी, जब आप फर्स्ट टाइम फेल हुए थे, उससे भी कोई खतरनाक मोमेंट आपकी लाइफ में क्या ये मतलब मेरे आंसू आ गए, मेरा आई एम जस्ट क्राइंग इन माय रूम, ऐसा कोई इंसिडेंट आपकी लाइफ में हुआ है?
Yeah, I think it definitely, I mean, if many who would have followed Bhive would know कि we caught like a huge ladder. पकड़ के बाद में हमने snake भी पकड़ा और snake ने हमें पकड़ा. Either ways. So I think 2014 was a great growth. 2015 was a great growth. I think 2016 में somewhere towards the end, I think the luck turned, in a different way. I think
वहाँ पे 43 पे
बहुत बुरी तरीके से गिरा था. Literally हम almost वापस 1-2 पे आ गए थे. ऐसा हो गया था.
क्या सिचुएशन था? पैसे वाइज गिर गए थे या फिर somebody?
So I think there was a momentum. What happened? Bhive had become popular. And I think what happened is the people started reading that wework करके company US में बहुत बड़ा बन रहा है. Then India में क्या होता है ना, अगर US में somebody is making very big, they'll try to say India में कौन बनेगा ऐसा. तो wework was not in India, but they were making waves in US. Then suddenly started सब लोग, तब तक तो मैं यहाँ पे already momentum पकड़ लिया था. I had not thought कि ये बड़ा बन सकता है. Money was coming, growth was happening, and it felt like nothing can go wrong. When you feel like nothing can go wrong, that's when the snake is waiting for you.
You have to very protective, very careful that time.
Any great person or anybody who becomes big, if obviously we read stories of great people, biographies. Whenever we read, we realize everybody has gone through tough times,
right?
And that tough time is what has made them, not the good times. It is a tough time that has made them what they are, right?
Sure.
We only look at the good times.
Yes, right.
For
2016 की बात कर रहे थे, again COVID भी आ गया then.
COVID के time में, I think COVID was not as tough because I'd seen tougher time in 2016,
already
2018. मतलब इतना मुश्किल देख चुका था कि COVID actually became positive for somehow. It was amazing. Initially, it was a little worrying, but I think I was probably more optimistic than many of my competitors because I'd probably seen tougher time than them. तो उस टाइम में 2016 we saw like there was a fund that backed off. I think बहुत कुछ चीज़ें हुआ. I think what happened is wework entered India. I was not expecting. Then and it so happened कि I had bet all my money to take up a large property in Residency Road. मतलब हम जो किया था सबसे बड़ा property लिया था हमने. Whose rent was more than my all other properties put together. एक बड़ा bet लिया था हमने. It was such a bad coincidence कि wework decides to come to India. And the very first wework of India was right next to where I was opening the big one. मतलब पूरी इंडिया में यही जगह मिला था कि मेरे next ही open कर दिया. And on top of it, wework India at that time followed a strategy of undercutting prices. Which I was really praying shouldn't happen. They started selling at lower price than me. And then it's almost like 5-star hotel. Somebody starts and sells at 3,000 rupees per night. मतलब per night अगर hotel 3,000 rupees में बेचा तो imagine कौन सा दूसरा होटल नहीं चलेगा ना. तो it almost was like, it was unbelievable कि मतलब इतना पैसा खर्च करके इतना luxurious. They were selling at so less. They were selling at 8,000 rupees. Today it is a 20-25,000 rupees same property. Suddenly and next door वाला मेरा ना ऐसा हो गया कि suddenly I think I started getting affected on my property. Number 2 is that one of my key competitors of India got funded by Sequoia as a very respected fund. They invested in one of my key competitors. And ये दोनों चीज़ें देख के मुझे लगता है ना to various reasons जो मेरे पास term sheet था वो लोगों ने back off कर दिया. I think what happened was I was a little naive. I thought कि these term sheets का मतलब है कि पैसा आ जाएगा because they had told कि शेष सोच लो कि couple of $1 million था. मैं सोचा कि ये समझो कि आ गया, तुम डिसीजन लेके आगे बढ़ो, डोंट वेट.
जब तक बैंक में हिट नहीं होता तब तक कुछ नहीं होता.
तो आई थिंक that was a very strong lesson. I made an assumption कि ठीक है आ गया, अच्छा प्रॉपर्टी मिला, लेते आगे बढ़ते. When they backed off, what? I was really holding a large property on Residency Road जिसका इंटीरियर करने के लिए पैसा नहीं, खाली बिल्डिंग करके बैठे हैं, सारा पैसा डिपॉजिट के लिए चाहिए, रन करने के लिए पैसा नहीं, इंटीरियर स्किल्स नहीं है. How will I even give it to somebody? So we were like, how do we exit? I think I went through, I think it was a significantly long, tough time because media में मैंने बेर लिख लिया कि Bhive is going to shut down. उस टाइम में कुछ एम्प्लॉयज़ भी ऐसे थे कि they actually started talking outside, I think in media and all कि कंपनी शट डाउन होने वाले. आजकल कभी जब पढ़ता हो ना कि कभी you know कि स्टार्टअप आर्टिकल्स आते हैं, they will say one of the employees said this thing about this company. वो मेरे से हो रहा था कि कोई एम्प्लॉय ने ऐसा बोल दिया, किसी ने कुछ बोल दिया मीडिया से. आई एम ट्राई टू टेल एम्प्लॉयज डोंट टॉक टू मीडिया. एंड वो पढ़ के इन्वेस्टर्स आके पूछ रहे, मैंने पढ़ा कि Bhive बंद हो गया, अभी भी चल रहा है क्या, मेरा पैसा सेफ है क्या. सो आई वॉज फेसिंग ए वेरी वेरी टफ टाइम. सडनली ऐसा चल रहा है कि मतलब सडनली आई थिंक इट वॉज वेरी टफ. एंड नाउ इन सच ए सर्कमस्टेंस टू सर्वाइव यू नीड टू रेज मोर मनी. right? मतलब because this is a kind of business where once you've taken a property you have to continue to pay rent. ऐसा नहीं कि मैं बंद करके निकल सकता हूँ,
नहीं जा सकते.
And so I think that was the toughest time, and there were a couple of people who were let go. That was the only time really in Bhive history that, I think in fact in pandemic also we did not let go even a single person because of pandemic. Because I learned the lessons then ki, don't make assumption and hire and all that, right? And some of them left by them. They said ki Shesh, I totally understand. Right. Luckily, I think the market was good. So none of them suffered as such कि मतलब सबको अच्छे जॉब ही मिला. Market condition अच्छा था.
I think last question है कि सब लोग बुक से सीखते हैं, समरी जानना चाहते हैं एक्चुअली. आप भी एक बुक ही हो एक तरह से, बिकॉज आपने इतना बड़ा एम्पायर खड़ा कर दिया, इतनी बड़ी चीज़ कर ली, एंड आई विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट कि ये 1000 करोड़ 5000 10,000 करोड़ बन जाए. कोई सॉलिड कोटेशन आपकी तरफ से एक सिंगल लाइन में, इफ यू वांट टू से इन द कैमरा.
I think, one is important to follow a lot of inspirational leaders, and I think there are many different leaders. I think, like I said, Steve Jobs ka to, I think one of the key things he says is that follow your heart, right? I think stay hungry, stay foolish. Again, if I would repeat again from Steve Jobs, a lot of times I think it's really left to interpretation. It's not very easy to interpret it fully, and many people may interpret it in a very, very different way. Stay hungry, stay foolish is so simple as a statement, but I think the way I've seen is, stay hungry is the hunger, right? Always never feel like you've arrived, right? You should always be hungry to be doing something bigger and bigger. I feel the most successful people, I've seen a lot of amazing people, even at 70s, they are not done. So when you say stay hungry, right? I don't think great people work for retirement.
Right.
I would say, why would I ever retire?
Right.
I want to work hard so that I never retire. I am always looking forward to a great day, right? Yeah. I think people who are little foolish are the ones who can try something little different, who are the believers, who think कि ऐसा बन सकता है, right? Because somebody told me, अरे यार co-working तो 100 सीट का co-working कर रहा है. Somebody told me in 2014, इंडिया में उतना मार्केट ही नहीं है. If I really believe, no, अभी तो ये 8,000 सीट का है, मार्केट बना
अपना बन जाता है,
right? But
होना चाहिए.
आप you look at राजमौली, कितना बेट लगाया होगा उसने जो बाहुबली मूवी बनाने के लिए. To an extent, yes, hungry is foolish also, right? मतलब you can say कि you are not playing safe. मतलब जितना पैसा है सब बना के सब लगा के दाव पे इतना बड़ा मूवी किया, फ्लॉप होके फिर से वो 0 बन सकता था. But the biggest achievers are the ones who are a little foolish. And I think क्या होता है ना, and what happens when you truly do something from your heart, somehow things follow. अपने आप it happens.
मैं इसको अलग फॉर्म में बोलता हूँ कि there is a subconscious mind. अगर आपने सोच लिया ना, तो that universe will push you to get this thing done. Automatically क्या होगा, आपको करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. Automatically things will fall in place and you will get it done. But वो स्टेप नहीं सिस्टे हंगरी वाली बात है. मेरे को लग रहा है आप जो जीते हो ना वो 6-6-6-4
साढ़े कोई लैडर मिल गया.
येलो 27 लेटर मिला, फिर आपको फिर इसके बाद येलो लेटर मिला, दैट यू वॉन.
विन तो हुआ नहीं है,
वो इट्स अ विन सिचुएशन एज ऑफ नाउ. तो दोस्तों ये थे माहेश्वरी साम्राज्य के मालिक शेष सर.
कोई साम्राज्य नहीं बनाया.
थैंक यू सर, मजा आ गया आपसे बात करके.
ग्रेट.
आई होप यू आल्सो एंजॉयड.
I think it was good. I think.
चलो सर, थोड़ा मजा आ गया.
I had a great time, yeah.